Today the Sindoor was so successful. It is because of two satellites I have contributed. One is the Navi, another is the radar satellites. They gave information of the location with such an accuracy of a 1 meter scale. So you can actually pinpoint at the door. I've made a very bad remark. That's why ISRO chairman goes to that temple. What, you was sitting on Vikram Sarabhai's chair?
The ISRO's budget has always been very tiny compared to that of NASA. Even they say the movie. There was this movie called Gravity, whose budget was more than that of mission like Chandrayaan 2.
Anything US does, that gets a priority. NASA पे कोई भी फटीचर स्कॉलरशिप किसी को मिल गया. Every organization have a 70% useless people, 30% useful people. 30% do the 70% work, 70% do 30%. Because you cannot get any imagery of the Kashmir. It is so much forested, you cannot go what is inside. But today, thanks to our radars, you can actually see inside. I am sure that the type of radars I am building, had this been with the Israelis, they could have known this Hamas areas, what are the tunnel, instead of they going and trying to fight it. You can actually map tunnel networks through the satellite. I saw the dead bodies floating, human and animal carcass floating together.
Truly an honor to have you on the show, Tapan sir.
Thank you. Also, good morning to all the viewers.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Fine, as I am.
How did your journey with ISRO begin? Did you always dream of working in space tech and space science?
No, no such thing was there. I'll tell you, I was in class 2 in 1969. I think that was the 22nd July. And in fact, I used to study in a school in a Sukchar, very near to Ganges. And that was a girls' school. And the teacher, the Mainati was a teacher, who brought Andabajar newspaper and spread, and very excitedly, and spread it on the blackboard. And okay, what is there? Then she was showing a bizarre footprint, actually a shoe print, and the shoe print I have not seen earlier. And on some dust. Then he said, that man has landed there, and we are not reading newspaper. That is, I was in class 2.
The Neil Armstrong story.
Actually, I didn't know that such thing has happened. And those days, such propaganda, nothing was there. And I opened, and I was, what is that? Something. But then my father also, those days, the books were not very, very costly compared to the salary and the lifestyle and all. And the best books, very cheapest books, very available were the Russian books. Because those the Russian books, were available in Bengali translation by Nani Bhaumik and all. And and my father used to bring those very cheap books on very space travel and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to really I didn't understand much of this, big antenna, big. The antennas are so big, the cars were looking small. And some galaxies and the Venus photographs. I mean, nothing was going into my head. And I passed out from that Jadavpur University, engineering. And ISRO, though, was not that famous those days.
Yeah, those days it was not.
I had 3 options. One is to become, one job I got to become the Jensen Nicholson, and I was to be the Arun Nehru's executive assistant.
Okay.
The second job on HCL. Third job, the very lowest salary was ISRO. 650 rupees basic, engineer SB. And I had also a chance to go to, I had a very high rank in GATE.
Mm-hmm.
I could get a very few with that. The School of Automation, Ministry of Science. It's normally top 15 in GATE can get into that department. And everybody knows, if you go to School of Automation, next is MIT. And next is, you are become big man, because bigger and bigger the stamp on your back and buttock. So you become a big and big man. So I went to buy ticket, and then suddenly decided, why not give it a try in ISRO? So instead of Bangalore, I bought the ticket for this Ahmedabad. And those days, buying ticket was not a joke. You had to stand in the queue and get the sprint yellow ticket from those. I think that fairly place. I bought stood in the queue, got the ticket.
But it was a big decision, not choosing MIT.
It was a very quirky decision. I thought, okay, that I can come back. Gate score is valid 3 years. I'll come.
Oh, okay.
What is it? Nothing I'd like. And I went to ISRO. And ISRO was not at all that famous.
But was it because of curiosity?
No, I wanted to know what is that thing, something. What is they doing and all. And we news vaguely Bikram Sarabhai. And I went. Even I went to people, they said, that time the INSAT was a very big job.
Mhm.
And then came that IRS satellite. And after 1 month, that is nobody was taking. So those days, people used to smoke every corner. So I lit up a cigarette. I went into our PPG group director, this project planning group. Kiran Karnik, who became NASCOM chairman, and I told him, what for you? But I have all the ranks in boards everywhere and all, and you are not giving me any chance. I am only watching movies, going every day. I was to watch 2 movies because there is no job, nobody is taker. Then he said, no, I will build your future, don't worry. So what happened that all the people, who are not in conformity with the system, they were all being put together in one group called a microwave remote sensing. They wanted to build microwave based imaging. And because it's in, anywhere, new department, if you go where there is, you don't know what is his future, what will be the future funding. So all the smart fellows will never come. So what they did, the people who are not liked by this other, of them some were very good scientists, but there were different types, not in conformity. Then there were union leaders. There were all this pranksters and all. So they were all brought together, and probably I was also considered one of them. Oddity that, and we started building. Finally, I led the team, built that imaging radars, and I became known worldwide for the building synthetic aperture radar.
Yeah.
And we learned all space science on the way. Actually, there is nothing like a space science. It is an engineering with a special attention to quality control.
Okay.
That's all is there. So because you cannot repair it. So you have to get it done. It should 80% chance that it should work. That way you have to build as hardware.
So the culture is more of a quality
Quality oriented, and then obviously there are a lot of other things because if it's seeing from top,
Mm-hmm.
there will be a lot of other issues because you'll be seeing to the atmosphere, seeing to the cloud and rain, all, and the best part of it that when I grew in this organization, because I see many people, the parachuted, but I was the person who grew from the bottom. And because that group, had not much strength, lot of eccentric people, what you learn at the end of the day, how to handle people. That's the very important thing. Second is that because you don't have the strength, you don't have funding, then you have a survival, you start doing things on your own.
Yeah.
Many things which is in other groups, you can buy an equipment where you have to build that almost that is.
From the scratch.
Budgets are also not very easily available because nobody believed this group will do something. In fact, the first job in fact, I came to know why that group was formed. That Navy bought a Marconi radar and which was not functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave it to ISRO. ISRO didn't know what to do, so they assembled all, so beyond the standard deviation people together, and they wanted to make it work. So the team has repaired that radar. we built an imaging radar, and obviously anybody gifts anything to usually they will not be good things. Sorry to say, even in Nachiketa's story, then Nachiketa's father Uddalak, used to donate the cows to Brahmins, but all these cows, used to have the teeth fallen and all, but they are too old of any use. But Nachiketa asked Uddalak that, why are you donating the cows which are useless? He says, you will not understand. Life is like that. So that was my journey in ISRO. That is how that a project started. And because we started in a very oddity, so you get strength, and many of the top officials of ISRO, who retire, first thing they want to get somewhere distinguished professor, somewhere some Kozi, some Niti Ayog, some place, and manipulate something here and there. All senior scientists, they know how to manipulate the system. But I was the lone one of the senior scientists who made a startup, and that too everybody told, see, you are a foolish fellow. Why are you coming to Kolkata? I said, I talked to Alapan, the chief secretary, and he was my senior in school. So, oh, come, we'll started. And, everybody was telling me, why are you coming to Kolkata? I said, why not?
Mhm.
My reasoning was very simple. Kolkata is a place of uh, mostly off center and eccentric people. My understanding of a student, I am from Jadavpur University. I know how this student politics dynamics goes, and they are the best people to make new innovation. In fact, if India's science innovation, if you see, it has all emanated from Kolkata. Whatever you read today and all, not that the facilities were better and all, but they were off center in thinking or not in conformity. So on that basis, I have belief came, and even my wife used to say, "You are putting all your pension money in this. What will happen if everything goes?" I said, "I am wearing always a cap, so I will put it in front of me. What to do is to sit on the." But unfortunately, it is now very well respected, and it has got one of the technologies it has built, and we hope will build. And I have a aim to build a Raytheon of India. It should be like this. It will come. Hopefully, God will be with me.
See, ISRO's budget has always been very tiny compared to that of NASA. Even they say the movie. There was this movie called Gravity, whose budget was more than that of mission like Chandrayaan 2. And I've heard of this term called frugal engineering. Can you explain how does ISRO achieve?
Even if the dollar, when you convert it, it's 84 rupees, 87 rupees per dollar. But if you look at a purchasing power parity basis, actually $1 is equivalent to 10 rupees.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to see the project cost there, you don't multiply with 80, then you will get an astronomical sum. You multiply with 10, that will be reasonable sum to compare over here. That is one thing. Second is, it is a very classical style of Western companies and MNCs, they will first, make a big show of it. See how difficult it is. It needs so much IQ. You need Werner von Braun, you need Einstein to do that, you need this sort of thing. So they always make a hype. See, when you deal with a Western people, you must know how to read through their hype. They will first make a hype, and they make a case also very brightly. So when you vis-a-vis you will compare, you will find, they will first make you feel awe. अरे यार हम तो कर ही नहीं सकते, इतना पैसा हमारा पास कैसे है, हमारा पास ऐसा फैसिलिटी कैसे है.
And the marketing, the PR.
fear and you see, first they frighten you so that you do not do it. But if you can come out of that fear and all of that, and unfortunately, India nobody comes out. Our academics, because of Macaulay's teaching, we are actually Macaulite. We have not become independent. We have become Macaulite. Now they don't need a foot on the ground. They have a minds on the ground who will do their work. So our IITians will leave and go. Everybody child born, first thing the parents says, वो कब US जाएगा, कब visa मिलेगा. Then that, and anything US does, that gets a priority. नासा पे कोई भी फटीचर स्कॉलरशिप किसी को मिल गया, एवरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैव 70% यूजलेस पीपल, 30% यूजफुल पीपल, 30% डू द 70% वर्क, 70% डू 30% work.
That's true.
And the ratio is same because the human genome is same. And this sort of thing, we get into this concept that they do. But if you're out of that, if you don't consider them as your enemy or a friend or anything there, just be yourself and do it, then you can do things. And in fact, end of the day, engineering is mostly science, but definitely with a partly art.
Art.
Yes, I must say that the engineers are are artists. Only thing that normal artists they do with a curvilinear lines, and these engineers build it with a straight lines, right angles and all. But we also make, because whatever we think, and the whole question of making a good engineering is in good thinking. We think that the object is a something, science and all. No, it starts here. In fact, the best definition of innovation was given by, the Shankaracharya of Puri to me,
Yeah.
Swami Nishchalananda. He's a mathematician. He said that the Sanskrit, there is a three words, mantra, it's a thought process. Yantra is the engineering product. And to build that yantra, you need a tantra, the process. The process to convert your thought to a product. So as product, even if you have the best of the thought process, but if you do not follow the engineering execution process, then you will have a bad product. And you have a fantastic execution process, but you have a bad thought process, then also you'll have a bad product.
That's true. That's called wishful thinking.
That, all engineering, irrespective of the space engineering or this camera or this light and all, it is that there are three words: mantra, tantra, and yantra. So if you have a thought process or imagination, and you have a execution process, how will I realize, how will I fabricate, how will I machine, just like this shooting, you are planning, this camera light has to be this, pan has to be there, this temperature somebody is asking, and the audio this has to be filtered, that the background should be like this, and all of this, and then obviously with some amount of dress and all, how it will make presentable.
Yeah.
So you have a process. If this any of this process for if a thought process of this, even the interview will be useless.
Yeah.
So this is also true with the space engineering. It starts with not money. Starts with your thinking process, and you are developing a product for an environment which you never personally experienced. So it is your imagination. If I do a product in India, suppose on this land earth, I know this what is this environment. I can because I can feel for it, I can sense it, and I can make a product for this. But you are bringing a product for an environment which you yourself personally do not experience. I am not gone to the space. I do not know what is zero G. I don't know what is the Van Allen belt things.
Just imagination. Yeah.
But it is your imagination, because the imagination is never shared by others. You must understand. Yeah, whether it is a Rodin, whether it is a great Corbusier, or you see that Satyajit Ray, They shared their product, but they have never shared the art of imagining. And you see, they never share, because that is what their, you know, basic quality on which they market their product. So you see, so this is the imagination has to be developed on yourself. So an organization which allows the imagination to go berserk or to develop, and provide an opportunity to make you execute the product as per the system needed in the environment, they make the good space. And unfortunately, and all, ISRO is one of the very few institutions which has actually proven it is not money which produces.
The work culture you mean is very conducive.
If that culture, it is, even if you hire, brightest of the people on earth, and you have a Raddi culture, you will not get it.
That's true.
Classic example, you have not seen great products from IITs.
Yeah.
But do you think the IITs don't have the brains? The collective brain may be much more than Jet Propulsion Laboratory or MIT.
Yes.
But then you assembled a brain, but you did not assemble a culture of interacting, sharing, and process.
Yeah. They say culture eats strategy for breakfast.
If you see the Sanskrit, the theater or Indian theater, and nowadays they don't have that. There is an personality called a Sutradhar, you know, which from one episode to another episode of the play, who that links them through a narration. Now, every project, it needs some sutradhar, people, who will connect people, who will join people, who will align their thought process. And ISRO has a fantastic ability of to spot those sutradhars. They may not be the top man, but they may be the persons who was in the project. When you build a team, you should have be two or three people who will actually concatenate that a lot of people, who are very bright, egoistic, and have a thought process, and their expression of thought process is everybody has a very different way of thought process, and how to, mollify their egos, bring them together, and all. And this is not taught in any management.
No.
It is only, you'll see that Indian theaters, the classical Indian theaters, you'll see that as sutradhars, Nowadays that is missing. Sometimes you do not see the play, this act to that act. The person is not able to relate what is this as happening. So this is type of management is practiced in ISRO. Probably it was more rooted in, I'll say that the Bikram Sarabhai, he was from a cultured family and more rooted in Indian culture. Indian freedom struggle. So that also has been brought. So it's a culture. It is that picking up crucial people, who is actually bind the team. No. In fact, I just incidentally I'll tell you that many people, I've made a very bad remark. That's why ISRO chairman goes to that temple.
Hmm.
It is outside you were saying, and we have a very bizarre idea of secularism,
Yeah.
more influenced by the communists and those. And I have grown through that communism era. I know all those people with half-baked ideas from Lin Biao, Mao Zedong, Trotsky, Lenin, without knowing that
And these days you have urban Naxals as well.
this, it is not that they are rebellious minds, and they suddenly they were told that everything Indian is bad. You cannot say the people who are from 3,000 years, which has come from generation to generation, there is nothing. And there is also a lot of bad stories are put, very frankly, like this Satidah. In Bengal, there is not a single instance of Satidah. But how the Europeans put it, they propped up one Indian, then they Satidah was a bad and they eradicated. But in Bengal, temples, literature, poetry, there is not a single instance of Satidaha.
Mhm.
So it is not nobody's the folklore nowhere. There is no Sasan Ghat, you will have a Satidaha has been done and all. But they put up a character, then they say it is because that how you bring down a society there, moral, you introduce a very guilt feeling and all. But fortunately, that ISRO had this opportunity, and I'll just tell you that this incident why we go to the temple. That when a team works, there is actually the people. There will be always a conflict. Somebody got a promotion faster.
There will be definitely differences.
Somebody is a favorite to the boss. Somebody is very creative. Somebody's product, is being appreciated. Work, some reviews, some big people have appreciated. And there are these small, small frictions, which are not professional because when you, with the people who work. And when a launch has to be there, then everything is in unison. And a machine is only in unison up to that mark when all the people are executing are also in unison and perfect. You see that if you howsoever you advise people, nothing happens. But surprisingly, you go to the temple, share prasad and all, and then it creates an environment where you forget those bitternesses for a few days, which is enough for them to execute a very unified program.
Understood.
So this is there because many people do not know that technique of how to bring the minds together. It is important to bring the minds synchronize and harmonize. Otherwise, this ये तो कल मेरा बॉस का चमचा था इसीलिए ऊपर उठा देखो एक ग्रेड इसको तो मेरे को एक इंक्रीमेंट मिला उसको तो 6 मिल गया हम तो एक ही काम कर रहे हैं एक ही साथ कर रहे हैं क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है वो थोड़ा अच्छा बातें बोलता है ना इंटरव्यू में इसलिए होता है सो सच स्मॉल स्मॉल फ्रिक्शंस विल बी देयर व्हिच एक्चुअली ए डेट्रीमेंटल ऑफ ए वेरी ग्रेट टीम वर्क.
Yeah. So ISRO was fortunate to have great leaders.
Yes, and they were not trained in management.
Sometimes when you're trained,
Because if you are trained, you are actually become the horse with a blinker. You go. Sometimes with a less training, you can actually think parallel. In
a
fact,
more practical wisdom.
we have seen higher the education level, the difficult to manage the person because you make it more and more fossilize the person. I'm not telling it is all the cases, but my
Generally, in your experience.
the one reason is I was the least educated of all the directors in ISRO. I was only BTech. They were all doctorate and all. It's this very incidentally very fine. I was also director of physical research laboratory. What happened? That one PhD scholar was resigning and going abroad. क्या अभी सभी लैब पे प्रॉब्लम है एक पीएचडी स्कॉलर to make him worthy of doing a PhD thesis, it takes 2 years. You have to train them how to read scientific papers, how to summarize them, and how to find out a newer approaches and all of that. And when you train them for 2 years, if it's good, and if you have made the mistake of sending in conference, somebody will spot, you come down here, and he goes there and accomplishes his PhD in 3 years. अरे देखो ये आए PRL पे तो 5 साल में PhD लगता है उधर गया तो कैलटेक पे 3 साल पे हो गया बट दैट फेलो टुक दैट the initial struggling 2 years he did in PRL. He was taught there. And that's actually, and anyway, you cannot stop people from going and all.
Yeah.
Signed the papers. He went to the went out. Then he suddenly turned. Sir, can I ask you a question? I said, you ask. What is wrong? Sir, are you a PhD? I said, no, but I have some honorary ones here and there I got. Then he says, are you a master degree holder? I said, no. Then what is you? I said, bachelor degree,
Engineering.
bachelor engineering. Then he says, but you were sitting on Bikram Sarabhai's chair. I said, that is my, my parents' fortune. I said, but it doesn't make you anything less scientist or a great scientist being, whether you have done a PhD. I said, even Einstein was never a scientist. He was an electrical engineering graduate who was in patent office looking at legal papers. He did not do. And his PhD, finally, he was forced to get a PhD for which the paper length was only 21 pages. And today he changed the physics of everything.
Yes.
So it is not degree which makes you great scientist or not. Yes, degrees and all, with a lot of medals and all, it makes your dress look nice. But or biodata looks nice, but that doesn't make you great scientist. You never become a great soldier, a great courageous soldier by having lot of medals here. You get medals because you were courageous and you fought. That is why you got.
Yeah, it's the other way around. That's true.
But by attaching medals, or calling yourself field marshal, you do not become a great uh, soldier. Similar to the scientist, it is whether you understand science or not. That's important.
Sir, what are some practical uses of radar satellites, and what's the basic difference between normal satellite and radar satellite?
You see that that Professor Yaspal, very famous man. I think he knew how to define things. He said, he told me, Tapan, you know what is remote sensing? I said, what is there? If you look up, it becomes photography, nature photography. And if you look down, it becomes remote sensing. It is just, you don't say nature photography. You are only taking a photograph of a nature and try to interpret nature. And what is the most primitive form of interpreting nature is our eyes. So the optical camera, as a remote sensing instrument, is the one which we can interpret very fast. The problem of these cameras, you need lighting. The same of your face in this darkness, it will look different. Darkness, no photograph is possible.
Yeah.
And if the lighting is at a lower temperature or all, you will look dull.
Mm.
If it changes it is a fully white spectrum, it changes the spectrum to slightly reddish,
Mm-hmm.
you will look tired.
Mm-hmm.
So in the daytime, the sun's solar, we are illuminated by solar spectra, the sun angle changes, the sun temperature changes, and our angle of refraction changes, so the light spectral content changes. So throughout the day, the changes are there. So, that's if morning you look very fresh, but evening you look tired. Not that you may be physically tired. It is because the light spectrum makes you look tired.
Okay.
So, if I have to use an information, if I want to assess a person, how does it look it? Either I have to get this, the synthetic light environment or the fixed light environment, or I have to, on a Sundays, in a particular time only I should take an image. Then only I compare from today's image to even if I have to say every day at 11 o'clock take images from sun. But then there will be some days it will be cloudy, some days it will be hazy, then some days, that the atmospheric transfer functions will be different, and there will be seasonal variation. That like this Gangetic plain, that winter season it will be all with a foggy, and the summer season it will be dust, rainy season it is cloud, you don't get images. You see, look at the Google Maps, Google Images, this Calcutta will have a very few updates. It is always cloudy.
Mm.
And if I want to understand a certain phenomenon, a certain light intensity, I will assign to a green color, which is a dominant sensitivity. We have a 550 nanometer. In that, looking at the type of green, you say, no, the sabji tatka hai. This sabji is bad because this eyes have trained you. But in light, in halogen light, even at the stale one looks brighter.
Yeah.
So you buy it, they sell it. They put this halogen lamp in the light to fool the customer to sell you a old one. So if you want to use a remote sensor, at the end of the day, it will be one is that the map information, other is the crop product information. And if that information has to be taken to machine learning and automated prediction, then you have to take at the same time, you have to do a proper atmospheric correction, which is very difficult, and you have to predict. Notwithstanding, we had a IRS class of camera-based remote sensing, and we have been very successful today. And how it is like that? If you know in 3 months in advance that the UP's this the sugar cane production is going to go down, you don't release this information, you book in advance market from Brazil sugar cane. If you know
Interesting.
that Bangladesh this year 3 months beforehand, you know that their rice production will going to become bad, there will be more floods and all. So you tighten your border because from Bengal the smuggling will happen. So this is. Or if you say that Bengal, Orissa and all that Andhra, the rice production is going to go down, and the Vietnam comes to know this, then Vietnam will in the future market they will increase the price. So it is one of the most secret information to the government that what will be the crop production. And because of our remote sensing satellites, it has become excellent one. And you see that today we don't have famines. We have a great storage. Now they give free of cost this because we have so much storage. We have to recycle, so they give it to you now that they're free. From COVID days, they're going on giving because the strategic storage is overflowing. So that now this sort of thing, no, this was not the case earlier. The governments have fallen on the onion prices have increased. Today, onion prices remains more or less same. Tomato prices remains more or less same. Over the year, it doesn't change. This sort of thing. This is all possible with the remote sensing, which gives you an advanced information, and it needs a machine learning. It needs a artificial intelligence, and but then if a thing is variable, the artificial intelligence models also start failing. So that is one. Other one is that if I use radars, one good thing, you can image anytime, anywhere. The signature is invariant.
What does that mean? Signature is invariant.
Signature means because radar has its own. It is like this. If I take this light and all,
Mhm.
your camera person, doesn't bother. It's a morning 6 o'clock or it's a night 10 o'clock because inside light doesn't change. Similarly, radars use their own light. Like this light, they have a radar transmitter. So this transmitter, so they can image day or night anytime.
Doesn't matter.
Anytime. So the radar satellites don't have to fly at a fixed time. Second is that these cameras looks at a reflectance spectra because most of them do not absorb in green, so they look green. Because the green they throw up, they absorb other lights, red and all. So that is useful. The green light is useless, so that is why they throw it off. Now, this sort of thing, this information, if I want to estimate, it is only from the lights getting reflected from the surface. And what is light reflection? Light wavelengths are 400 nanometers to 700, or if you go to infrared, near infrared suite is 1100, 1500, or 2.5 micron, that sort of thing. Now, even if this band, if I want to see, it's actually emanates top 2 micron of the layer. You see, you may have a cancer, but your skin is still healthy because it has not come. So if I take your photograph, you will be looking very healthy. Sorry, nobody should have cancer and all of that. But if I take an X-ray, then it will not look at how whether you are a fair or dark. They will look at what is your bone structure, what is internal structures and all, and they can predict much better. So MRI, they take structural information, bones inside information. Similarly, radars, because their wavelengths are large, they actually penetrate through the crop and all, penetrate through the ground. They take an information which is a structural information. I'll take away the jowar and wheat. If you look from the top camera, they will look almost same. Nothing, both are equally green. Until unless you say, no, the jowar is produced in Madhya Pradesh, a corollary information, and wheat is produced in UP and Punjab. So with that corollary information, you distinguish. But if I don't tell you from where this photograph has come, remote sensing image, you will not be able to distinguish the jowar and the wheat. So you will do a miss. But if I know the radars image, because they look at because their wavelengths are of the size of objects. L band, it is 24 centimeter. So your objects interact. They become not just reflect, they go the refraction, and they go scattering, Rayleigh scattering. So that information gives you the structural properties of leaves. What is the leaf size and leaf orientations and all. So you will see now this structural information can distinguish a jowar from wheat, or that's the castor and that cotton. You know, their leaves are almost same structure. If you see from camera, you will not be able to distinguish cotton and the castor. But radar can distinguish because their internal stem structures will be different. The radars can distinguish. And radars can also distinguish when the object is vertical or horizontal. That sort of thing. Radars can also give a 3D imagery from a software called a interferometry, multiple images.
So that is being used in maybe watching borders,
A landslide. You can predict landslide.
earthquakes, and
Launch the NISAR for this purpose. We can predict. Until now, we had no instrument to predict, earthquake. But now we know the earth is will know is getting crumpled. So maybe in another 1 year there will be earthquake. You cannot prevent earthquake, but at least you can shift off people. You do not invest in real estate or road infrastructure because earthquakes come in at 200 years frequency.
yeah, you can plan and then you have
Plan and all of this, and you wait for the earthquake to come, and you would make a train the people in all the drills needed for the earthquake and all, so you can save many more lives. So this is one very important thing. This radar imaging do many things, like because of the structure they can do 3D images. They can find out the small displacements, and that we did a study and we found a very funny thing. This Calcutta is a differential interpretability was showing the Calcutta certain places are actually going down. This Raja Bazar and Bow Bazar, they are getting depressed daily, annually at a very high rate, almost to 5 to 6 centimeter per year. And the new town area was getting. I thought, okay, this Calcutta, I travel and all, how come Raja Bazar is getting depressed? Bow Bazar is getting depressed. But when I shifted here, I came across that they were having tough time in building tunnel in Bow Bazar because it is getting depressed. Now, had this knowledge was there with me, but we thought it may be some aberration in the data. I came to Newtown and I found, there are certain areas houses are getting torsion. You will see the diagonal cracks in the houses. So fortunately, I have taken the house where actually it was not depressing. Subsidence is not there. Now imagine this info is there, and many part of Newtown will get deserted. People will leave this place because the construction has not been commensurate with the subsistence model. The houses, the roofs will start cracking and all these things. They'll spending more money. People will start selling off this. Now, if you are in a real estate business, this information is a great one. Like this mining, now this environment regulation is such, you cannot do mining from top. You cannot destroy the forest. So you have to make tunnels, go underground, and you have to fill it up with the water, or once you mine out, that has to be filled up with all the slurries. Like, if I take out a zinc is in the ore is only 0.5%. Once this 0.5% has been extracted out, you put that rest of the slurry back to the mine. So fill up. But if you don't fill up, then this will depress. Tomorrow it can become very dangerous. Like we had this Chasnala, and you don't remember, long before you were born, the Chasnala disaster in Jaria, almost 2,000 laborers died. Now, in such radar imaging we had, we could have predicted that these fellows are not managing the mine properly, it may cave in. So this information is needed. And then there are also the slope information. You are randomly building without bothering, because this civil engineer, without bothering the normal water flow pattern. What happens? Chennai gets
Flooded.
even in being the sea. Bombay gets fully flooded, even it beside the sea. And Kolkata getting even with a full Ganges with you as a great water path, it gets flooded because you have built houses without bothering about the topography. So, had there been why you have not done? Because measuring topography by human is a very difficult exercise.
Yeah.
You can measure Mount Abu or Mount Everest height, but you cannot measure what is the difference between Bowbajar to Rajabajar Belgacia, height differences and all. So this satellite provide the radar satellite gives you that opportunity to image and this sort of information, and militarily it is very important. That's a radar imageries are actually very accurate. Like camera, if I point, with respect to camera, your location will shifted. You will be shifting in the frame. If I do not know how much angle I pointed, because I have also knowledge accuracy. So with camera, if I want to put a location in 3D,
Mhm.
it's a more erroneous by that angular rotation. But a radar imaging, it is not dependent on the angular rotation. So it is so accurate. It's we are imaging the Kolkata here, we put it in Google Map, it sits in 1 meter accuracy. And we are measuring in 1 meter scale. I wish I could have shown that. It's exactly maps, exactly this what is happening. It's so accurate. And because of this accuracy, this is extremely useful for military operations, planning military operation. I must take credit that today the Sindur was so successful. It is because of two satellites I have contributed. One is the Navi, another is the radar satellites. They gave information of the location with such an accuracy of a 1 meter scale, so you can actually pinpoint at the door. You can, if you look at this, the Bhawalpur mosque, LET mosque that
Yes, yes.
our missiles have gone, the top is a full concrete. But there's a mosque at the minar which is a opening, which is a vertical column, and because somebody has to
Yes, yes.
so all those things, prayers. So it's a hollow column coming through this.
Through the building, you
You
mean?
will
Huh?
see this missile, these photographs, they exactly those minarets entered straight and destroyed. Now, these sort of imaging militarily very, in fact, I had a very satisfaction during the Uri operation, my satellite, what I designed, RISAT, was estimated because you cannot get any imagery of the Kashmir.
Yeah.
It is so much forested, you cannot go what is inside. But today, thanks to our radars, you can actually see inside. I am sure that the type of radars I am building, had this been with the Israelis, they could have known this Hamas areas, what are the tunnel, instead of they going and trying to fight it there. You can actually map tunnel networks through the satellite with the high resolution, low frequency satellites. So this is a fantastic, and it's needed. You may say, what is their military purpose, bad? Okay, you can all debate and all, but you can talk of all, animal friendly life and all until unless you are attacked by a lion. Time you have to really hit it hard.
Yeah.
You cannot say this a lion is a very nice animal and all. You know, even if it eats me, what will happen? Nothing. It will satisfy an hunger and all. If can you say that, you have to you in right time you have to, and your economy, if you are not having military power, you also are not respected economic.
That's true.
So one of the reason for you can always you could say India's economy has improved. We have gone. Not that the Indians have become great businessmen, but the day you have become militarily strong, it's thanks to APJ Abdul Kalam who brought the doctrine of a strong military and missile-based deterrence and all, then you start respected.
Yeah.
जैसे मेरे जैसा मोटे आदमी गया तो क्या तुम नजर नहीं देखो बट देर इज समबडी विथ a lot of muscle goes, अरे यार कौन
Yeah. Power is respected. That's true.
power and its display is respected, and that brings money. Any financial decisions, negotiation, you can turn in your way if you are backed with military power. You look at what Putin did this time. He went Bini Bidi BC and went off. So it is because sheer display of power. One is the personal power, one is that the backed military power. So that is all.
What do you have to say about Make in India? How it is helping the entire ISRO ecosystem?
ISRO was always making in India. Yes. And Indian civilization has a problem. And it is an advantage. We are a 5,000 plus year civilization. And we have seen, from Mahabharata to Ravana to Alexander,
To Britishers.
Britishers to Mughals to Khiljis, and all we have seen. And we know the time is the great healer. Time is the great equalizer. तुम आज राजा हो कल तुम जमीन पे उतर जाओगे. Now in this way you think क्या चलता है लाइफ ऐसे ही चलो ऐसे प्रोडक्ट. But if you want to make an economy very strong, you have and you put life as better, then you need to be producing cheap. And if you produce cheap in your country, that means cheap should not make poorer quality.
You mean the semiconductor chips?
No. Anything product. It may be washing machine. It has to be
Any product.
all you are very good outside using going to cafe and all of this. but कल घर पे तुम्हारा वॉशिंग मशीन खराब हो गया ना, बीबी लाठी लेके आएगी, कौन करेगा साफ. तो then so your washing machine has to be very reliable product. And if you build it, anytime any product technology is built by other country, obviously he will charge a premium.
Yeah.
That premium you have to pay. so that it will become costly. So it is to make it affordable, it has to be built in India. And it also makes you stronger. Look at, that our Tejas program is being blackmailed because the GE is not supplying the engine. We should have concentrated on the engine. हमने सोचा वो क्या है, कार इंजन बना लेते हैं तो कि इसमें क्या है, बट हमने वो बनाया नहीं. It's not that we cannot make, but Indians also by culturally and civilizationally is also a set of people. When a given a threat, they can stand up. They stood up against Alexander. They stood up against Alauddin Khilji. He burnt your whole Nalanda, but he could not burn our Shastras because we founded an alternate way of carrying forward through recitation. Instead of even if you remove this, burn all the books and all, you can still carry from one generation to another. We mastered this technique. We mastered the technique of a language which is narrated in chandas and which can be in a particular format written, and our words can be just by juxtaposing differently, they will have a different meaning. We are losing all those meanings. That quality we have lost, that day we started writing in prose. That very mental faculty of writing in poetry we have lost. Now we have, when we are in, you see that Muslim civilization has obliterated any other civilization.
Yeah.
Because that is a expansionist civilization. But we could not, because we knew how to stand up. Britishers converted, wherever they went, they converted to Christianity, but they could not convert the India.
Mhm.
Because Indians have, because of civilization experience, whenever given a threat, they rise.
Whenever there's an adversity, we find out a way.
The best way to get a Indian innovation is to create an adversity, psychologically or practically.
Which is now.
And this happened to ISRO earlier, this after the Pokhran experiment and all. So then we started making our own everything. Why to get it from USA, make it here, this sort of thing. So in adversarial situation, we perform the best in Make in India. So we must have that one, and this Make in India is a necessary to make you militarily independent. I will give you one thing, that you remember that I think the squadron leader Abhinandan was flying.
Yeah.
MiG-21.
Captured.
He hit an F-16. Now MiG-21 is one of the most primitive aircraft, called a Bison, and it doesn't have that much instrument. F-16 has all the instrumentation, look from backwards and all. But if a flight and warfare is not permitted by the US government, because it is also controlled by the satellite, their engine performances and all, what they will do, they shut off the radar on the backside, they shut off the camera on the backside.
So you're dependent.
So even if buying a best of the horse, but his mind is already controlled by somebody else, that horse is of no use. Or you are buying, say, today's all the aircrafts, the top end aircrafts, fighter aircrafts, personal aircrafts, they can be also autonomous. You don't know, from GPS receiver, one certain command, the aircraft takes over the full control of it. It is a pilot is disengaged from controlling. It is possible to do it technology wise. Your engine sends every information with position to back through satellite to the company. They say we want to monitor our engine performance. But when you monitoring the engine, you are also monitoring your traffic load, everything, because engine's thrust is a proportional to the load on it. So you are having a very profitable carrier or not, they will know immediately. So accordingly, they may hike the price of the engine or the aircrafts. So if you have to ward off those, that accidents like in Ahmedabad, which is not normal. If you ask me, in my view,
It's not normal.
it is as if somebody has taken control over the aircraft, whether it is internally or externally. But today it is all aircrafts are so computerized and so satellite. Everything is communicated, and the moment we use a GPS, foreign GPS, the GPS also has a transponder. It can actually also select one serial number of GPS and make it erroneous.
But someone can do it, take control over the aircraft.
Oh, if I send through GPS, the guidance system, that's all control is taken. See, what is it? Main control is a inertial navigation system which is guided by GPS.
It's like someone possessing the aircraft.
Oh, yes, if you ask me, I'll write the software for you. It is there. It's a navigation control. It can do. We have done it for our Navig also. I know. I cannot share with you what we have done it and all. You can actually, suppose you remember that this Kargil war. These Americans simply made GPS poorer. So your guns could not point. So we lost a lot of soldiers for that. But the GPS poorer.
I think that's the same reason why we are refusing to buy American jets, because they are saying that we will not share the source, will not share the technology. That's why we're going with the Russians.
And not that they are also very, but they are.
But still, there's a dependency.
If you give me the central computer software with me, then I know any malicious element is there. I can shut off certain.
They don't give the full control.
But the best is that because the softwares are so elaborate, it is nowadays it is humanly impossible to go through. Even with AI also it is not good. So it is best that we build our own, make our own software, make our own instrument and all. And this is needed in all aspects. It will make our lives cheaper. We can do, and our economy is not much export oriented.
Yeah, it is not.
Our economy is serving our own people itself a big job. But there is a pitfall of a higher technology. More the higher technology is there, you think the Kenyan economics work, but ultimately makes your population lazy. And because of the population lazy, the decline of civilization starts. Whether it's a Roman civilization, whether it's a Bismarck's German civilization, or the Russian USSR that are going up and down, it is once you make everybody's life easy, then you will not get soldiers to fight for you. You will not get. So everybody writes poetry, then who will fight? Who will keep the border? Isn't it?
Yeah, true.
A development with a certain amount of adverse situation in life is necessary to teach children.
Mhm.
I used to go to Israel quite frequent because a lot of our activities were there. And I was also given one invitation by Israel government to see all their facility. They kept open all facilities to see. And that was I spent all across the board, all best of the facilities I gone through. One thing I understood, they are very much self-serving, but that after they pass the class 10th, there is a equivalent to 10th. Then for 2 years they are bound to do the military
Service. Yeah.
See, the military service trains you both physically, mentally, and it gives also the Chanakya's dictum, Sotru both. See, when I deal a person, whether I deal you as a friend first or as an enemy first and then upgrade it to state, that matters. So, Hindus civilization, we forgot Chanakya's saying. So we have not understood the Satru both. But these Israeli children learn Satru both first. It is very important when you are whether you do financial deal, whether you do an engineering deal, whether you do a political deal, what assumption you start with your opponent. When I say opponent, you start as a friend, you are a loser. If you start assuming him as an opponent and competitor and enemy, then you have a more chance of winning, because then only you can see through his games. Otherwise, you will game interpret through. So this sort of training we must give it to our children and our schools and all. Uh, but then unfortunately, no, we have discontinued NCC. So our people do not learn how to pick up a gun if necessary, or how to dodge in a difficult situation. बट रील तो बना लेंगे सुबह शाम, तो ये सब चीज़ होती है. So these are needed. When I make in India, when we do, at the same time we should do the social engineering, that we don't get into a trap of Europe. You go everywhere, old people. There is hardly any younger people.
Yeah. The demographics have changed.
The Okism has started such a way that that childbirth has become nil almost. So there is nobody to carry forward the civilization all. What I have accrued the money, but somebody is waiting. भाई घर पे तो बच्चा नहीं है, वो मरेगा तो प्रॉपर्टी मेरा है. So this sort of thing is there. So we, at the same time, we must concentrate on society, and civilization is always progressed by your offsprings. Until unless you say that your offspring robots will be yours. That is not the thing. Civilization. And at the time of difficulty, it's a, we are subspecies. Anglo-Saxons are subspecies. We are another subspecies. Hindus are a different subspecies. And Darwin's law, in time of adversity, the species will cling together for their survival. Then they will dismiss another subspecies of the snakes. When the difficulty, the cobra will eat other snakes which are non-cobra snakes. Similarly, in a human civilization, don't think everybody is very friendly. All are very friendly until unless they are in difficult. In difficult time, an American will given an opportunity to save one Indian and an American. It will his natural, his primordial instinct will go to save an American.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
It may very badly, but since I have seen the world in a more adversarial conditions, I know this.
No, especially after Operation Sindoor, that Satrubodh that you spoke about, is something that we as a civilization, we as a country were lacking, or we never thought about realizing who our real friend is, who our true enemy is.
We all teach our IFS officers. I have taken the classes and also that no friendship or enmity is permanent. It is the interest is permanent. We have never understood the real meaning that interests are the permanent.
Especially in geopolitics.
So our officers have not understood. Our education system also, they have not understood that to instill that feeling that how to. So we do not become good negotiator. हम वो बाहर से टाई वाई पहन के आया ना, अरे अरे तो मैं बड़े आदमी होगा हूँ, तो देखो ना मेरा तो चप्पल है, मैं बात कैसे करूँ. सो उसको टाई पहन के आता है, अच्छा अंग्रेजी बोलता है, डॉन बॉस्को में पढ़ा है तो उसका कीमत ज़्यादा होगा, और मैं खड़दा से पढ़ा हूँ सततल बालिका विद्यायतन, रोहड़ा रामकृष्ण मिशन, बंगाली मीडियम पे, तो मेरा वैल्यू नहीं रहेगा. So I'll immediately get covered down. But we have to be taught as along with Make in India is not just sufficient. We need a social engineering. China did not invest in social engineering, so it is on a decline. Maybe in another 20 years, the Chinese will not have any soldier to fight for them. Even today, all the soldiers are a single child family. If the child goes for a soldier, the father will be calling, you leave that place, flee off. Even if you are executed, you will still live 3 weeks more than to fight in India. So this sort of thing will happen. So I personally feel that our political leadership and the social leadership and intellectual leadership will also give a very weightage to social engineering. To we must produce children, we must enhance our civilization, and we must be ready in time of difficulty to enhance our Indic civilization. Because after all, it is the only civilization living of all the ancient civilizations which were actually people. All civilizations say they have come from gods who have come from somewhere else, whether it is a Sumerian, whether it is an Pharaohic Nile civilization, or it is the Moses, or whoever, or the Persian. So they, if you look at it, there is this civilization tells there is somebody has come from God, somebody has come from outside. They build, like our Hindu civilization that we called, the Bhusthal. What is Bhusthal? Wherever the sunlight goes, that is Bhusthal. And Bhusarg. And that, so our Bhu is not just earth. Wherever the sunlight goes, goes, that is also Bhusarga. That is our territory, human being. And the beyond Bhusarga, beyond solar, up to Dhruvatara, this is called Sarga. Now that means we have an always a reference. We are descended from somebody from somewhere else. With these metaphors, if you interpret, so of this civilization, whether the Mayan or Sumerian or all had that, you see, find this exactly similar story of origin. Or you see that the Krishna story and that the child being taken away for killing, for who is going to bring Kamsa, or whether the Jesus and Herodotus, the story is same. Same Mary, similarly the Kamsa's sister. The story, if you see, the parallels are same. Now, in this, if you see that this civilization, we are the last surviving those ancient civilizations. So, if we allow it to go ourselves, then that will be the most dangerous thing. We will not be able to pardon ourselves.
Sir, what is one ISRO moment that still gives you goosebumps that you're most proud of?
People say I have made imaging radar. Yes, I made fantastic. I made I changed the standard, scientific standard. But one moment, in 1999, we launched a radiometer payload, OceanSat 1. And I'll just tell you very honestly, my younger child is mentally challenged. So we decided to go to Puri to give the puja. And then I was going that was the 5th October,
The Cyclone.
1999. And I went into train, the Cyclone, they say called a Konark Express from Bombay. And we went to Vijayawada, the cyclone is hit. And then they said it will stop. After they said it will go to Bahrampur only. After that, it stopped finally at Baluga, where my sister stays. And I went there, at their house, uninvited and all. And it was everywhere waterlogged. And after 7 days, I went to Puri. And I went to Puri. Surprisingly, Puri was unscathed. Everything that just beyond Sakshi Gopal, everything, all trees have fallen. And from Puri, I got that train. That time Mamata Banerjee was a railway minister. She has actually did a fantastic job of laying that. And while coming back, in Baleswar from Puri, I saw the dead bodies floating, human and animal carcass floating together. And it was a a realization that death can be so, such an equalizer, that you don't, your dead body, one becomes a carcass, that means you have no reasonable respect left.
Yeah.
I came back and Americans had a satellite called a scatterometer. It got defunct, which could measure that the cyclone it can estimate. So I came, started working on OceanSat 1, OceanSat 2 scatterometer. It's a radar. See, when the cyclone approaches, it's a cloud. So you cannot see what is the wind speed inside. And if you do not know wind speed, you cannot know where the cyclone will move. So what happens that it can penetrate through the cloud and can measure the wind speed from the roughness variation on the ocean surface. It's through Bragg scattering mechanism and all. I don't want to get into the science. But best of it, it could measure wind speed, the cyclone. It can actually pick up a wind circulation before it becomes a cloud. So whether a wind circulation will become a cyclone or not, maybe after 7 days you'll know. But you'll start tracking those.
You can predict that.
Now that when I get a wind speed and the cyclone vortex, the one side will be high because vortex means one side the wind speed should be high, one should be low. And Bernoulli's theorem, wherever the wind speed is high on a vortex, there is a pressure will be low. And where the speed is low, the pressure is high. So a cyclone will move, the mean low pressure, high pressure region to low pressure region. That is the direction. And from that, the cyclone prediction has started. And I don't want to take credit because this is the thing. After we launched this satellite in 2009, cyclones have come, Amphan has come. It is as bad as Bola cyclone in 1970, where almost 5 lakh people died, and that was the reason of this whole Bangladesh war and all of those things. And Amphan came, but there is no death. Much severe cyclones are coming.
We could avoid.
But we could predict because of this series of, now we have a scatterometer series of satellites, we can predict the cyclones where it is going to hit. If I know it is going to hit Baripada within plus minus 5 kilometers, I have to only clear only those many villages. But if I say it can hit anywhere in West Bengal, I cannot clear up all the villages.
Yeah.
So the administratively much easier. The deaths have come down or almost nil today. And after that satellite is around 2009 onwards, you see the cyclone news has been relegated to fifth place. Except when, somebody makes a false complaint, I damage, Prime Minister has not given this much money, I want that much money and all. But then also, why the Prime Minister is not giving? Because then also our satellites find out exactly the extent of damage. So they can assess, central government can. At earlier days, the state government and central governments used to fight. We have this much area flooded, this much damage. Today, no. Central government says you have only 200 crore worth of damage. Then they bring you satellite picture to you, radar imaging satellite. Now, this is the one, today I feel very proud because it is that a technology which can save human being. I think there cannot be a better technology. I think that OceanSat 1 is OceanSat 2, it gives me real goosebump, which could meet a scatterometer, which could actually measure cyclone, predict their tracks almost 7 days in advance, gives you ample time, and it is being used now heavily.
Yeah, that's truly commendable. Yeah. So, someone listening to this episode who wants to work in space technology, what's one message you want to give? What it takes to be an ISRO scientist?
Actually, we are all the same common people. Only thing as I told, because to build a space scientist, you need to have a slightly more imagination. And imagination is partly taught. Yeah, I can read, But reading and making it an imagination is a much different thing. It needs your extrapolative power. And this is what is needed. And rest is at the end of the day, it is engineering. If you are not good at an engineering, you are not a good space scientist. So the engineering has to be the and then you should be also conscious of a different type of reliability working in the building and hardware which you test in one environment but it will work in another environment. So that concept should be clear. And it's a, and I must say that both engineering and scientific talent and along with imagination is the must for a space scientist. But if I do an extrapolation, it is not just space scientist. If you see, these two qualities are needed in every field of work. But you cannot say that I know only one trade, so I am enough. No, you have to study all the segments. And I unfortunately, I used to feel very bad. I just share with you. This may not be politically correct. Somebody once asked me, what put India backward in comparison to China? I said, it is the software industry. See, they wanted to bring China up as a manufacturer. So, how do you kill Indian prospect? You suddenly create a job which in a salary which is not even much more than the what the job requirement and result. And you attract everybody, metallurgist, mechanical engineer, chemical engineer, civil engineer, all became software. And that our whole industry got into dearth of brain.
That also working for some other.
You look at by investing an industry of a $8 billion, we actually killed a prospect of building an industrial base of $8 trillion. This software industry, though we call it a very given job and all, but this is, had it not been there, Indians would have been still software experts. Had not been the salaries, we would have been metallurgists, we have been civil engineers, building bridges, dams. There are mechanical engineers who are building cars, building aircrafts. Now everybody has gone. And in ISRO, I used to find, when I joined, there was an initial exodus. People were going as a welder to all Arab countries. Engineers, high educated engineers, they're all going as welders. Then came suddenly, this all space scientists started, applying for jobs in Infosys, Hughes, and all for writing this. I call it a terminal monkey. Though I am myself a software expert on this, I have a very creditable patents in algorithm and computation and all. But so almost for 10 years, all bright fellows in ISRO left. They began to software, they became big men. But this ISRO's progress got stalled. So this mistake we should not do. So until unless that development is all total, and another is that one is being deliberately is pumped, the chat GPT.
Yeah.
It is designed to kill. I fervently hope the government bans chat GPT like gaming. It is designed to now this I go to many schools and colleges and all. People are not writing in hand. They are not reading emails. They're summarizing. They want to read a summary of emails. If Gemini gives me summary, but I don't read because email has that mail letter along with information also has many unwritten information. In that way the gesture is given, the way the sir is told, the way it is signed off, it shows whether the respect is there before it. It is not just information. And people have stopped reading their mails fully. और किसी को बोलो सर पढ़ा नहीं सा, इतना ट्रेल है, इतना समरी है, आप देख लीजिए ना सर. But it is not. It is a human interaction. You should know how to read between the lines, not read along the lines. When you read a book or a newspaper, you should be taught how to read between the lines, not read along the lines. Between the lines, there is another information which is a must in the. So these skills will be going. So we must, wherever that tools and everything, which is meant to change your behavior characteristics, change your imagination characteristics, we must be conscious and we must ban them. And it is needed. It's, even if it is needed, that this software one, you see, everybody became software monkey. I can remember that the Syed Mustafa Ali once wrote, I think you have not heard.
No.
He's a Bengali literature, and I think many of the newer generation people was not heard. In fact, the partition, the husband and wife stayed in different countries. So wife became head of Pakistan news that radio, and husband became head of All India Radio. And he went to that village called Jasor, the district of village. The people are very clever. And everybody knows that Jasore, they have a big brain and all of those clever people. So he went to the village and he found all the younger men folk, all climbed the trees, coconut trees, and all old people and children are on the ground and house. Every day they were preparing food, taking to the coconut tree top for the children. He asked them for how long they are staying in these coconut trees, living there. They say for almost last 7 days. Why it is? But see, that is 7 days before the Americans came here, they were looking for monkeys to be taken to their countries. So all our young men want to go to United States as monkeys. I never thought that statement, profound statement written in, I think, this magazine, if I read it correctly, it will be some late 60s or early 70s. And the story was so profound. When I see that all our bright people, IITians and all IISian, Bengalis, Tamil Nadians and all, they are deserting the country, want to become monkey in America. So we must make a reverse trend to tell this story.
That's true. Now I'll tell this story to many. Okay, thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Just talking to you, it was a very pleasure.
And all the best for your company, Sisir Radar, your vision. May everything come true to whatever you wish. Thank you so much, sir.